Hey everyone, this is Snark with Snark's Domain, and we're going to do another test today of some Honeywell PTM7950 sheet I bought off Aliexpress. It was a big sheet, and it was pretty cheap. It was like, I don't know, like $100 Canadian, thereabouts, shipped. I think shipping was free. And yeah, 400 millimeters by 166 millimeters. So enough to do, what, 50 or 60 processors or something like that. More now that I'm undercutting too, I would say. Hey, how's it going, Philip Carroll? When in doubt, phase change it out. Taylor Sharp, hoping this stuff legit. Yeah, me too. That would be pretty cool. The stuff we're looking at here that we just took apart is the E/7 PTM7950 syringe style. And I don't know, it's definitely a phase change, but I'm probably going to retest it at some point. Basically, it didn't perform quite as high as I was expecting it to, which is which is fine. I guess we're going to run into a couple duds now and then. But it's also possible the method I used for applying wasn't perfect, where I pre-applied it to some tin foil and let it cure overnight and then applied that film. So at another time we'll probably apply it normally, where I apply it to the CPU and then let it cure, and we'll see if that makes a difference or not. Just, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't think much is going to change, but I'd rather test it than just assume that it's the product's fault. I mean, nowhere did I see anyone saying I should apply it to tinfoil and then use it that way, but we shall see. Oh yeah, the focus. Good call. Sorry about that. It's a bit better, hey? Let's zoom in and see if I can get it perfect. I think that's about as good as we're gonna get. Sorry about the focus there. I'm just gonna scrape this stuff off the cooler. I was kind of hoping this stuff would be better than it was. It was... Well, I'll have to crunch the data for sure, but it was approximately matching MX4, which I suppose is not... doesn't mean that it's bad, it just wasn't as high performing as it could have been. I think this also shows that there's a benefit to buying it in sheet format, because it's already starting off thinner. It probably has an easier time melting without having to like worry about peaks and valleys. I think people will get more consistent good results with a sheet as opposed to a syringe type. But that's just my thoughts on it. Also, I don't have the box anymore for this, the Honeywell stuff. I gave most of it away to another YouTuber to try out. And yeah, I think they put it on a 7900 XT CPU, or 7900X, I should say, not XT. I'll have to check in with them and see how that is performing, whether they like it or not. Actually, sorry, I probably jumped the gun there and scraped it off. It did actually seem like it got as thin. So, but there were a couple little air bubbles and stuff. I mean, this stuff was... there was no saying that it was going to be legit or not. It's possible it's just 7950 or a similar product and then just bottled up, I don't know. I'll probably test it again though, just to be sure. At some point. Just gonna clean the cooler here. Lizudo Palustri. Have you tried the Thermalright Helios pad? It's supposed to be PTM7950 repackaged and much cheaper too. Yes, I have. It's on the chart. Here, I'll bring the chart up for you in just a moment, so we can see. Let's see if I can find it here. Test bench 2. Charts. Here we go. January 29th, I think was the last one. And then we also have the CPU chart, also January 29th. Got Helios on there, don't I? Yeah, I do. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting the charts prepped here. Alright, we'll do display capture. Okay, so this is the CPU chart. We've got Helios. Yeah, I mean, it's basically matching PTM7950 on the CPU test anyways. I would consider them basically the same. Now on the GPU, I mean, they're off, sorry, right here. They're off by 0.7 of a degree. So that could just be error in testing. Yeah, it's pretty similar to the PTM7950. Oh, it's a phase change. Yeah, it's not a pad. The only pads, well, the only pads that people use on CPUs would be Carbonate and the cryo sheet. Everything else is, like, even the indium sheets are supposed to melt, so those would be considered phase change as well. Or at least I would consider them a phase change. Just a electrically conductive one, that's all. Alright, let's get back to... Well, we're pretty clean, but I'm just going to touch up the cooler one more time here. Just to be sure we don't have any residual oils. Alright, I'm going to try cutting a small piece. Let's see here. That was close. Alright. Yeah, it's a pretty good cut. So I'm going to grab some tape here. So I just did my tape trick where I tape a piece to one of the corners on both sides. Get first peel that way, and then we will put this little piece of tape here on the other corner. Sort of, you know what? Let's go to a more zoomed in view, I suppose. Sure, I'm just looking for, there's like a couple little bubbles there. They should float, okay. Alright, let's go for peel. Oh, didn't want to peel that time. Let's try it from the other corner. There we go. Something about these corners is, I'm not 100% sure if there's something under there. And I'd kind of like to just chop off a little bit. Just feels like there was something, I don't know, protruding off that one corner at least. Not sure if it was like a tiny piece of plastic or what, but the other one, I'm also just gonna do the tiniest little bit. There may have been nothing wrong. I would rather not take the risk. And I'm sure that'll get filled in with the flow. You guys have a good weekend. You know what? I'll put the chart up while this is being screwed down, because it's probably pretty boring looking at out of focus screwdriver handle. At least that's my guess. Taylor Sharp says, you know what, I need to minimize that really quick. Since PTM seems best suited for direct eye cooling, I think it would be great to have a laptop or mini PC with an easy removable cooler to test stuff on the CPU. Core deltas would be a good metric. Yeah, it's... Oh, I could look at... I do have a couple old laptops. I wonder if they'd be suitable for testing or not. Well, and I'd probably have to get a couple more Aqua Computer Quadros, well, at least one, so I could I'd actually have to look and see how that would hook up into a laptop or not. Okay, we got the CPU done, and now we'll do the GPU. Could even leave the back panel off so it'd be minimal work to change. Yeah, it's a good thought. Dave says, I don't know where this direct eye cooling comes from. It works on HS fine. Yeah, I mean, it does. I would say it generally... I'm torn. I'm actually torn. It melts easier on a direct eye because it's not... The heat's not as spread out, obviously. But there's also less contact pressure, or like mounting pressure. And one thing I find is with the tower cooler, even with just with those 2 spring screws, it still generates quite a bit of mounting force, as opposed to the GPU, where it's got to contend not just with the core, but also the thermal pads currently on here. Now maybe if I went with thermal putty for all of the tests, I'd have to redo everything, but maybe it would have an easier time compressing and we would generate more mounting force on the direct eye of the GPU. But I don't know, I think it's worthwhile having both tests a little bit different just to show the different scenarios. I think laptops, it's going to have the easiest time melting, and it'll just be whether there's enough force with the spring screws to get really to squish out all that excess phase change material. Yeah, and I still need to take a sensor and put it against the IHS just to see how hot it gets, especially at the edge. Because if it doesn't melt at the edge, that's the PTM that's going to act as a spacer and kind of prop it all up. So we'll definitely have to test that at some point, just not today. I've got a bunch of other stuff on the go, and I got to go back to work tomorrow as well. So there's that. Okay, I promise to zoom in this time before I wipe this stuff away, and we'll have to change the focus here in a second. Oh, I kind of went the wrong way there. Okay, so it's a pretty thin layer. Let's see what it looks like on the cooler itself. I would say it actually got pretty thin, this stuff. It looks like there's a relatively even layer. Yeah, I don't know. It did alright. It's not that it performed horribly. I guess I was expecting a bit better, in a way. Oh, I think I also, last time I was on, I made that wax-based stuff. And obviously I haven't, well, not obviously, but I haven't tested that yet on an actual CPU or anything. But we succeeded in making a sheet of the stuff. This is the sheet. You know, let's peel it back. I kind of want to see what color this stuff came out as well. Pretty sure it's just that tan color, but... Oh, interesting. Yeah. It's, yeah, it looks like a white wax. I mean, it's beeswax, so... I'll definitely have to throw that on something at some point and see how it does. Well, and then different phase changes might have different additives, and they might also have different, like the additives themselves might be a different size depending on the product. And I think that's going to be more important than ever for direct dye stuff. Like putty can get away with using granular type stuff. That's why UX Pro doesn't doesn't really have issues even with its like slightly gritty texture in some ways. Now they've probably done densification where they have multiple grain sizes because that proves quite effective in increasing thermal conductivity, and smaller gaps that have to get filled with like the silicone oil or binding agent. But with phase change for direct dye or IHS, I think the name of the game is getting particles as small as possible, probably not doing nearly as much densification just so that it can flow a lot better when it's liquid. Otherwise you've got a thick paste that the cooling solution still has a problem trying to press out, which could create problems. I'd say the best scenario for phase change would be direct dye and high compression, or like relatively high compression. Then you're going to get the fastest flow rate when it is a liquid, and it'll squeeze out the best, becoming the thinnest. I just think this video card doesn't have very high compression at all with its spring screws. Okay, we're going to cut a little piece here. Just one moment, guys. All right. Perfect. Just going to reshape the TGPP10 a little bit here, and then we'll peel that film. I have a theory that the warmth of my finger makes it want to stick to the top film a little bit more, so if I let it cool down for a few seconds after working out any bubbles, it might detach a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. That's just my guess. Alright, we got a clean peel. And what else I gotta do? Should probably touch this one up a little bit. I love it when people ask, how long does thermal putty last? And then I go, I don't know, we'll know in a couple more years maybe. So for the most part, I have not seen too many issues with longevity, except for possibly one batch of stuff. But I had some TGPP10 bake on VRM, pretty solid, but other than that, haven't had issues, so. Alright, so here we go. This is the Aliexpress sourced large sheet of Honeywell PTM7950. There we go. We're still in the busy season for me for work until, hard to say, maybe April. It'll probably slow down a bit more, so then I'll have a couple months where I'll be able to crank out more videos than usual. Hopefully, anyways. That's the plan. Because right now I can pretty much just only do this when I'm, home and stuff. Don't really want to travel with the test bench. It would break. It would break for sure. Going down logging roads and stuff. After this one, we just have to test, let's see, I think the eBay one that I bought. And we'll see if that one seems legit or not. And then I'll be trying to crank out a bunch of paste tests, so. We're almost done the phase change. I'm looking forward to it. At least with paste, I can just do like a straight 6-hour test. I don't have to worry about like melting it. I could still show it like a trend if it improves over that 6 hours a little bit, but I don't have to give it a good melt. Oh, I also had to order a new GPU I/O bracket support, like the 2-slot support that's on my test bench. The holes in it have been stripped, and at first I thought it was the screws, but no, the screws are fine. So I've got 2 more of those on the way. It still holds on one screw, but just one screw hole. The second one is stripped, so definitely want to change that out for a fully functioning one. And I mean, I think that's to be expected with the number of times I've taken the card off and put it back on again, the test bench, so makes sense to me. It's a wear item. I'll work on crunching the data for the eBuy7, but just a heads up, it's like kind of at the bottom of the chart or near it, so at least just from my rough calculations. I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's going to change much from what I'm thinking, but that being said, I mean, it was pretty cheap to buy a 5-gram tube of it, so not too bad. Dave, I tested against several top-tier pastes recently, and it beat them by several degrees on HS, G-Lid, Noctua, and TF7. Oh, for a phase change? Yeah. It, I think it partially comes down to how effective it is, and partially comes down to the application, and whether it has good compression. You know, or even human error, on my part or someone else's part during tightening down of a cooler. I've had it before with KPX, the one test I did, that I did a bad job of ensuring there was equal tightening on the screws, and it was lopsided. And just from that test, it showed that, yeah, it's not just the product, it's also taking the time to do, just to make sure you reassemble with care and make sure it's got equal mounting pressure as best you can. So yeah, guys, I think that is it for this stream. I know it's a short one, but I don't really have anything else on the roster other than that homemade phase change material, which we have no idea if this is gonna even work. But yeah, I don't know. And that's just my first stab at it. Be interesting to see. Maybe I'll put that on something else other than the test bench first, and then depending on whether it's like a complete failure or not, we'll try it out on the card and the CPU just for fun. Not expecting it to compete at all, but it'd be pretty wild if it was even remotely close to being effective. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you have a great day, and if I can, I'll try and get on tomorrow, but no guarantees. I just don't know what time I have to leave home to go to work. So yeah, I will see you guys when I see you.